Hello, everyone, and welcome to Badass Us. That's right, that's who we are, Badass Us. Real talk here on Vision and Purpose Media Productions. And today, as always, we always have a good one for you. It's all about family matters. Yes, family matters. How is your family? Are you keeping up your family traditions? What have you learned from your grandparents and your mother? Your ancestors, are they applying in your life right now today? Yes, that's who we are. Badass Us. Badass Us, real talk. Here on Vision and Purpose Media Production, we are women, are beautiful, accomplished, and divine. Our gentlemen, our brothers, accomplished and determined. Yet, as society see us, we must still change the narrative. That's right. We are here to give you positive insight to the community. Here on Vision and Purpose Media Productions. Hello and welcome back to Badass Us. That's right, that's who we are. Badass Us, real talk here on Vision and Purpose Media Productions. And of course, I have my lovely co host with me today, Marjorie Militant.
Hey, Karen. Hey,
Hi,
Karen.
Marjorie. How are you
I'm
today?
good. How about you?
I'm doing good. It's sunshine moments over here, even though it may be cloudy and raining outside.
That's very true. Very true. We always have a good time.
Yes, we do. And, I love it when it's just the ladies on the show. We love our men too because, they just help bring in that other era
Yeah, they give us
that
a
we
different
need.
insight.
Yes, that we need. But when it's the ladies, we can just
That's right.
get that real talk in today.
That's right.
And
That's
it's
very
all
true.
about family matters. And actually, this is your topic that
Right,
you wanted
right.
to bring and discuss because what we always want to do is nothing else, Marjorie. We always just like being informative to
Right.
our community and just talk about the subject matters that matters in the black community.
Right.
So the family matters. This is a good one.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited.
So we are trying to, as she said, inform and
Yes.
empower.
Yes.
Both of those things are very important for the black community. There's so many things that we have to think about, so many things to change, and we're just going to talk about those things tonight.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So since it's just the girls, let's
Okay.
get to it. So it's all about family dynamics.
Right,
And
right.
and then I love the you're talking about the children, but let's start from where it starts. When we itty bitty little
Right.
children,
That's very true.
how do our parents and grandparents help help to
How
shape
they
us?
shaped us.
Yes, yes.
And, the black community is really a communal community. So our families consist of our immediate families, our relatives like aunts and uncles and grandparents, and also community members like the church and even teachers. So we work together. It takes a village to raise a child. And
Yes,
I
it
believe
does.
that black people really do believe that. What do you
Yes.
think about that, Karen?
Oh, definitely. It takes a village to raise a
Right.
child because definitely where I come from, because, when we was growing up, Marjorie, any authoritative figure had the right to correct us.
Right.
If we was doing wrong. So
Right.
that's part of that village. It takes a village to raise a child. So they didn't have to know who I was. I didn't have to know who they were.
Right.
But anytime an authoritative figure was in our present, to straighten up.
Right,
Because if they
right.
catch you doing wrong, back in my day, they'd grab you by the head and take you home and tell
Exactly.
your parents.
Exactly.
So yes, I believe in that.
And there are a couple of things about the black community as well. Besides being a communal community,
Yes.
We also, like you said, we believe in our children being respectful.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, most especially respecting their elders.
Mm-hmm.
And so those things came from, the past,
Mm-hmm.
came from our grandparents and our great grandparents. There's some things that we've had to change. For example, discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Because, a lot of discipline unfortunately, came from slavery times.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes it's not about, I don't want to say, well, about hitting your child,
Mm-hmm.
but about having conversation
Mm-hmm.
and about disciplining them with your words and with your actions.
Exactly. You have to lead by example.
Right. I agree with
That's
that.
really, really true. You do have to lead by example. But every now and then, I'm still from the old school that you need to just pop them sometime.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not beating them to abuse them, but sometimes, I'm still from the old school.
Right.
I do believe
Right.
that discipline can be done in a fashionable way of talking because
Right.
sometimes, the children nowadays, they have all this advancement around them, and they think that they can do what others do, the other children do. So if
Exactly.
there's no discipline and no discipline in their household, they come home saying these things that they hear
heard.
other children saying or saw on the internet or
Right.
or whatever, and then so you're fighting against that.
Yes,
So
that's very true.
and so and they know they talk back to you because they already know if you hit me, I could call the police.
Yeah, they do know that.
So so it's
And you're right. There is a very
yeah.
fine line.
It's a very fine line that we are dealing with these days, opposed to back in our days. So yeah.
And
but-
one thing that you mentioned that made me think of something is how sometimes our children will listen to what they hear their classmates saying
faster
that
than they
might
will
not
their parents.
come from a black family.
Yes.
And one thing that I know is that unfortunately today there was another shooting at an elementary school. And so, those are things that you have to talk to your children about too. And we are going to get a little bit into that too about what is good parenting and what is not. So, I mean, I'm not saying anything about the parents, but I do know that children learn what they see.
Yes,
So-
and what they are being exposed to.
Right.
So, but just to talk about our parents and grandparents. So, what is one of the things, since this is your day today,
Right.
Marjorie? So let
Okay.
me ask you. So, what is one of the things that you learned from your parents or your grandparents that have helped shape you today?
One of the things I learned from my parents is that everybody matters, and that when you can help, you help. And I think I really pass that along to my children because the work that they choose to do is work to share about African American families and also to help in communities that need help.
Yes.
So I think, that's the biggest thing for me is that my parents taught me you don't have to have a lot to give. You just have to have love and you just have to have compassion.
Yes.
And what about you, Kim?
Well, basically, I'm going to go there. Anybody that know me know that in my household, I was raised in order to receive a blessing, you must first be a blessing.
Correct.
And that is the true mission in life, and like you said, because doing that, it doesn't take money. It doesn't take all, materialistic thing. All it takes is your time,
Right.
your love and compassion.
Exactly.
So you can always find ways of giving of yourself. And my mom always used to say, and you think you're going through or having troubles, but when you are giving of yourself and step out of yourself to do for others, you
Right.
realize just how much a blessing it is to you
Right.
than it is to
Exactly.
them, because you're not focusing on your own
Right.
situation, and you're putting a smile on someone else's face, and it really is a blessing.
That's very true. I
It
agree with
really
that.
is. It's more of a blessing to me than the person that I help, and
Right.
it really is.
And you're absolutely right. It helps you to take your eyes off of whatever's going on with you or with your family.
yes.
And it also it just lets you know that no matter what, God is always going to be there.
God
And
is-
because he's in the
yes.
midst whatever happens, you're going to be all right.
Yes, yes. So, I wanted to now just move right along. Let's talk about our family rituals and traditions that made us who we are today. I tell you, because it's like you say, I have so many in me, Marjorie. So many, traditions from my family and so many rituals that we do, and that it's still a part of me. Because our grandparents' parents gave it to them. They passed it down to our parents, and the parents now pass it down to us, and we don't pass it down to our kids. And that's how you keep the family rituals and family tradition going. So what is one of your family traditions or rituals that you still practice right now to this day, and that you have passed on?
Let's see. I think that holidays are very important. And
you better stay out my head. Okay, but go ahead.
One of the things that my son and I, we were driving somewhere the other weekend, and I was saying to him that I wish that he and his sister would be able to spend Christmas and Thanksgiving, one of those holidays, with me together. But they spend the opposite one. And so my son was talking about how Thanksgiving is so important. And I said, that's true. Christmas is always important, but Christmas is more of a personal, your family time. Thanksgiving is more about doing for others or everyone just being together. And so that's a tradition that I think that I passed down to my children, that my family passed down to us.
Yes.
There's so many things, the food, just thinking about how lovely my mom cooks, and that we all follow those traditions too. Sweet potatoes and gravy, just things that you think about, and you know how it tastes, because when you think of it, you think of your mom.
Yes.
So I think that's what traditions are. They're things that allow you to think about the people that come with those traditions.
Yes. Okay. Now you're going to say, well, what about
Karen? And what about you? What's a tradition that you value and that you're passing down?
See, people going to think that we rehearsed this.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, Marjorie, I was going to say Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I am definitely big on Thanksgiving. That was just a family tradition, because even after my mom passed, I told my husband, Thanksgiving was just everything to my mom. And so my husband picked up the tradition from my mother. And basically, we did. During Thanksgiving, we had to, what I just say, be giving of ourselves. She always taught us, in order to receive a blessing, we must first be a blessing.
Right.
And so even Thanksgiving, we always gave away.
Right.
And always did for others. And then at our household on that actual day, we all, part of the grace is we all had to go around the table and say what we was thankful for.
Right.
And, and that was just really big, Marjorie, to be able to go around. Because when you finally say it and hear it, and it's at a celebration of being thanks and giving thanks, it's just really special just to hear the things, that we have done all through the year, of what we are thankful and grateful for.
That's true.
And so that tradition will always be, to the point that I pass it on to my in-laws now.
Yeah.
So my in-laws now, they practicing, making sure be a part of grace is to say,
to be thankful.
Yeah, what they are thankful for, So I like that is definitely one of the traditions. And, the rituals, we, and one, I don't know if it's a ritual, but one of the other things in my household, we couldn't go to bed mad at each other.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We always gave each other hugs and kisses goodnight. And I think that's probably why I'm such a huggy person now, and COVID just tried to take that away from me. But and that was it. And Marjorie, I'm telling you, because my mom, she'll discipline us and don't catch us doing something wrong, and I still want to be mad at her. I'm like, shoot, I'm mad. She's punishing me. And she, look, at the end of the night, I better get over it, because at my household, she'll discipline us, and 5 minutes later, she'll come back talking. So what you do today?
Right.
So how about this? I have this plan for us, and I'm like, I don't want to talk to her. I'm still
that's
mad.
not what it's about.
Yes.
Exactly what you
It
said
is
before. before.
about the love.
Yes, it definitely is.
It is about the love. So, so I do believe in discipline with love, and she taught me that no matter what, you can have disagreements. You can
Right.
agree to disagree,
Right.
but don't hold on to that.
Right.
You don't begrudge it. You don't hold on to it, and you still show love at the end
Exactly. That's very true.
of the day. Yes.
I agree with that. And I know in my family, one of the traditions that we have or had, because my children are grown now,
Mm-hmm.
is that, going to church. And also, it's not only about the building,
Yes.
especially, after COVID, things have changed so much
Yes. Yes.
for many people who went to different churches,
Yes.
but just about loving God and thanking God for
Mm-hmm.
everything that He supplies us with.
Mm-hmm.
Black people go through so much,
Mm-hmm.
and because we do, it's
Mm-hmm.
nice to have a higher being to
Yes.
say thank you to,
Yes. Yes.
and to be appreciative.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, okay, Marjorie, we're going to move right along
Okay.
to what is
Oh, yeah.
a questionable parenting. I wanted to hear your thoughts and take on that because this was one of the things that you wanted to talk about and discuss. So, what you mean by what is questionable parenting?
Well, what I mean by that is when you see children who are struggling, and maybe you don't know their parents, but you know the child, and you see that they're struggling, what could they be going through, and how can you help? And is it our responsibility as a part of this community to help that child? And is it our responsibility to try to find out what that parent needs? Do they need some help with some parenting classes? Do they just need a friend? I just sometimes I'm very worried about some kids and want to know how I can help their parents. So
And I think so. And I think, when it comes to that, if they see more positive role models, that's why I like the organization. Like the owner of the building is with 100 Black men, men aiming higher. And you have all these organizations that's out here that really show positiveness.
Right.
So even sometimes if a child is probably not in the best environment, or sometimes it's no perfect book on how to be a parent.
Right.
So a parent may be struggling on how that looks and what that looks like.
Yeah.
And so these organizations are here to help guide them and everything. So I do think the more that we can mentor people, reach out
Right.
and
Right.
give back to the community, volunteer, at certain, at the schools and certain places like that. That really helps.
And if
it
there are
takes the
I'm sorry.
pressure. I'm sorry. It
No,
takes
go
the
ahead.
pressures off the parents as
Right.
well,
I
and know
agree.
that they got a support system out here. And that's the main thing. Instead of condemning the parents for maybe because their child don't have the best manners or whatever, but just to give them that support base. And that's
You're
what it
right.
sounded like that you were
Yes,
saying.
yes, because you only learn what you see. And, like you said, first of all, you mentioned the 100 Black men. And one of the things about that group is it doesn't just cater to men. They start as young boys and become men
Yes.
through organizations like
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
And again, in your church, if you'd like to start a mentoring group, or my son used to teach a manners class. And there's certain things that you might know about that you can share wherever you are.
Yeah.
If you work in a school, you can start a club. You can start a club in your church. There are so many things that we can do to mentor to parents and to children.
Yes, and to be an exceptional parent, exceptional parenting now is
Right.
what you say. Okay, let me say that again. What is exceptional parenting? Can I go first
Yeah,
this time?
you go first.
So, exceptional parenting is, like I said, it's no book out here, or is no such thing as a perfect parenting, and I just think if a parent is giving they all and recognize that we all have imperfections, so it's not going to be a perfect way.
Right.
And then like I said, having these support groups for the parenting household that may not have the best of a way of being able to express and help for the child.
Right.
So finding these support systems are great. But in the meantime, you know what? Exceptional parenting is all the child ever really want to know is they are loved.
That's very true. That
All
is
they
exceptional.
ever want to know that they are loved and somebody care about them and just and and show them some attention and be there for
Right,
them,
right.
and give them a safe haven where they feel like they can't open up. And that was one of the things about my mom, even though she was a single parent, and now looking at it that I'm grown, she worked all the time, but it never felt like she wasn't there.
Oh, wow.
So
That's very nice.
can you imagine
Yeah.
that? Working all the time, but it felt like she was always
Right.
there. And that's because the love, the quality time that we spend together, the love that she gave us, the attention that we needed, that safe haven that she gave us to make it feel like no matter what we are going through,
Right.
we can always come
Right.
to her. So,
Right.
I think, all parents are exceptional,
Yeah, I agree.
and they have an exception in them.
And I think that when I look back on it, nobody is perfect. So as we grow, we can look back at ourselves and then do better the next time. Because your children are going to continue
Yes.
to get older. And I know that there's some things that, I wish I would have done that differently or done it better. But you know what? It doesn't matter because my children always knew that I loved them.
Yes. Yes.
But when I get the chance to do that better now, even though they are adults, that's important to me.
Yes. Yes.
And, my mom, I grew up in the 60s. So my mom was home all the time. But things that she did differently then, she doesn't do them the same now.
Yes. Yes.
But she grew and she knew just
Yes.
as I grew and I knew.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And so it's important to me that I'm close to my children.
Yes.
We're friends.
Yes.
Just besides being mother and son and mother and daughter, we're friends too, and that's really important.
Well, that's a great, Marjorie, and I like the fact of what you said about because you're a parent for the rest of your life,
Right, exactly.
So even what may not have been the best decision when they was younger, you still have the chance to
Right.
do it now when they
Right.
grown. Because I told everybody I never became an adult until I was 36 years old when my mother passed. That's when I became an adult. Because as long as you still have your
Yeah.
parents to lean on,
That's-
you don't realize that you're not grown until you don't have that.
right.
So you know what? I just turned grown, the world, when I was 36 years old. That's when I turned grown, when I no
I can
longer
imagine
have
that.
mommy to call on anymore. So you know what? So we're going to continue this great conversation. Thank you for this,
Okay.
Marjorie.
All right.
Yes, and we be right back at you here on Vision and Purpose Media Productions.
It is key that you mind your mental health.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing this week?
Hi.
Use the 5 keys to mental movement.
Really monumental week for me. I realized that I was not being myself.
Reaching out.
Be positive attitude person self, like you guys know me to be. I was
Staying
listening to
upbeat.
teaching and get back to that happy, cheery self of me.
This week's been kind of
Being
stressful,
creative.
all of the workload that we have on online learning. So I've been trying to use different platforms and different websites to help ease my mind and ease my stress.
And what about you, Margaret?
Well, you guys know me. I just love to work with others and serve them.
Serving others.
Realize that when I serve others, my mind is off of myself.
That's right. And don't forget, self-care is key.
Self-care.
All right. So see you guys next week.
Right.
Bye.
Your mind matters.
Welcome back, everyone, to Badass Us. That's right, Badass Us Real Talk here on Vision and Purpose Media Production. And Marjorie, we just had a special guest that just pop in. We kind of just took them out
That's
of
right.
the engineer room. And actually, we'll be joining the Vision and Purpose team. So,
That's so exciting.
Welcome, Aisha.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love your
Thank
earrings.
you.
Yes,
Thank you, ladies.
yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
So,
it's a pleasure.
Yeah, so this is her first day being here in the engineer room, hanging out, and will be joining us starting in June, full time. Will be here with us. So this is a great addition to have, and I know, and reason why I said, all right, I'm just gonna pull her out because she is a big family person,
Right.
So, and I love the fact that when we was talking and discussing how this partnership will look like, she was like, "Oh, Karen, my husband can do this. Oh,
Oh,
my daughter
yes.
can do that.
Yep.
Oh, my son." And so I
She
said,
sounds
if
like
she,
me.
I gonna say, if she don't sound like Marjorie, so
It's a
I
family
knew
affair.
Y'all had
That's
to
right.
meet.
That's right.
It's a family affair.
Yes,
it is. No, let me not sing because your daughter and your daughter will shame me for just trying to sing
That's
that.
funny.
Wait a minute. Let me clear my throat. No, I still don't
You
sound
got
no
it.
better.
You got it. Listen, man, you can do karaoke. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah, but the music got to be up real, real loud, though, okay?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so Marjorie, go ahead on and take us into the second half. So
Okay.
we're talking about family rituals and traditions here
Yes.
on Family Matters.
Yes, yes, we did.
Right. So what's
And
next,
so
Marjorie?
one of the things, now since you're on, we can talk about this a little bit more. Karen kind of admonished me because I talked a little bit about discipline earlier.
Okay.
But I want to hear what you think about discipline and children.
So I actually was taking mental notes while I was listening to you guys from the
Oh,
sidelines.
I'm sorry.
And,
Before you go on, can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Sure, sure.
You
My
can
name's
say your name.
Aisha.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's Aisha Betancourt. And again, like Karen said, I'll be joining the Vision team. I'm very excited and honored at the same time.
Yes.
So discipline to me, I consider myself, I tell my kids all the time that I'm old school, new school. I am, I think, a nice transition in the middle ground of where because I'm technically a Generation Xer. What is it? Are we Generation X? I'm so far along now, I'm starting to forget.
I don't think my
But yeah, I
generation
think
had
we're
a generation.
Generation X. We're the first ones. So we were the ones that were the extremists when we were coming out, you know, with all of the gunplay on the streets and things of that nature. But I think I hold a nice portion of what my grandmother and great aunts and those elders taught me growing up. But I do have the understanding of my children and the younger generation. So that's why I consider myself old school, new school. When it comes to discipline, I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
Let's do that. So I have two sons and a daughter, 26. My second son is 22 and my daughter's 19.
Okay.
So when my daughter was about 10 years old, and you know, she's the only girl, she's the baby. I have two sons. They're the older. So the boys would tease her all the time. And you know, us women know, even though the boys are the boys, just one woman can have a lot, you know, going on, a big punch behind her. So a lot of times, because she was the only girl in the house, I would take up for her. One day I was in the shower and I heard them bickering out in the living room, and I just sat and I listened. And I said, let me see what's really going on with this conversation, this dynamic. And what I noticed in the dynamic was, yes, the boys were taunting her and teasing her, but what she was spewing out, honey, was something else. So in that moment, I channeled my old school ways. And I said, oh, what would grandma do? What would grandma have done in this fashion? So what I did was I kindly I didn't rush out. I walked out gradually. I didn't say a word. I walked up and I just handled my business as I needed to handle it. And I walked off. And the kids still talk about that moment to this day, because what I say to them is, sometimes as a parent, I think enough talking. You know, sometimes you just have to stop talking. I think nowadays as parents, we do too much talking and pacifying. Sometimes the discipline needs to come into play, where to let them know that enough is enough, and that you're not you
Right.
know, that
Right.
that this is a serious moment, and you need to pay attention to this moment.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm a little old school, new school.
Yeah,
I agree
like
with that. I'm
I
like that too.
Old school, new school, because that's where I am. I definitely believe in that because I love what you say. Sometimes we can talk too much, and especially, I know you said friends, but I know you were saying that came over time and as
Right.
they got grown. Because, no, you're a child. And she's the adult,
Right.
and that's how my mom. We wasn't her friend, and not until later in life, and that's where the talking come in because I'm not into that. A child is not of my peer,
Yeah,
and they need to know that and stay in a
Yeah.
child place. And sometimes when we be having these conversations, we talking to them like they on our level,
Very
and
true.
they of our peer,
Yeah.
and they not. And that's the part where when we allow them to do that, they think they can talk and say what they need.
Right.
Anything,
Exactly.
and they cannot. And because my mom was even the one, like if my girlfriends or my friends would say Evelyn, because her name was Evelyn. She was like, "Oh no, put a handle on
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's Miss Evelyn
Right.
to you."
Very much
Right.
so. Yes,
You
very
know
much
what I'm
so.
saying? Because
Exactly.
these kids now, they will call you by your first name, and I'm like, no. I earned that now.
Exactly.
I am a miss to you.
Exactly.
Correct.
So
Exactly.
put a handle on
Exactly.
it. So yeah,
agree with
so
that.
that's my mom was firm on her discipline, and it helped mold and shape me who I am today. I'm very
And I
much
agree
give
with that too, because I know that when I was growing up, my parents disciplined kind of the way you were referring to, and there's nothing wrong with us. We're
Yes.
the most respectful people.
Yes.
We know what's right. We know what's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really what you're teaching your children when it comes to discipline. Now, you do have to check yourself when
Yeah.
that discipline becomes abuse, but
Oh,
that's
yes.
that's a different,
Yes.
a different feel to it.
Yeah. Oh
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
And it's like they say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
no,
to interrupt you,
mhm.
but it's
Go
just
ahead.
like they say. I never understood the Bible verse when I was a child, but spare the rod and spoil the child. It's very much true.
Very true.
There's
Yes.
a balance in it all.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I think we have that, under control. So let's talk about, the church, the impact from the church.
Okay.
And, and I think that's a great place to be, because we was just talking about that. I was talking about that with a friend today, actually, when I was saying when we, growing up, we always respected the adults. And then what else? The teachers in the churches. They was like our second homes. If you go to church, that was like home.
Right.
If you go to school, that was your teacher was like your second, your
Right.
second set of parents.
Right.
So these was your second set of parents that helped mold and shape you.
Right.
So, so I definitely would give a lot of credit to, just having that spiritual base placed in you as a young
Yeah.
child. And as a family, it is needed
That's
when
very
you can do
important.
that as a family.
And I think
What'd you say, Marjorie?
that it also gives children, when they become adults, a base for making decisions about how they want to live their lives.
Very true.
You bring your children up the way you want to bring them up. If you want them to be in church,
Yes,
that's where they are.
yes.
My children were in church 3 or 4 days a week. And
All right, Steve Harvey. You remember his joke? Church on Monday.
Yes,
but
but that's-
Tuesday,
I'm-
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Yeah.
Sunday.
well, that's how we were.
basically. Yeah, that's how it was.
very
Yeah.
And our church was our family. And so now, whether they go to the same type of church or not,
Yeah.
or whether they spend that much time in church is their choice. But the thing that I don't have to worry about is that if they make bad choices, it has anything to do with what I offered them. Your children get to make their own decisions when they become
Oh, yes.
grown.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And
But
I
it
think-
is our responsibility to set that foundation.
Yes.
You said it right there. That's
Right.
what I was going to say. I was going to say is it creates the foundation.
Yes.
It lays
Yes,
the foundation
exactly. Yes,
for your character, your path, all
Right.
of that.
Yeah,
Right.
and and it's all about what planting them seeds. You
Exactly.
know?
Exactly.
Your parent plant seeds, your teacher plant seeds, the church plant seeds, and so like you say, even if we sometimes stray away from it,
Right.
when you plant them seeds, you always come back to
Yes.
it.
And
And
we know they're going
sometimes
to.
you may not think we listening, or the children may
Yeah.
not be listening to you, but they'll always come back and show you that they are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
We have to think about ourselves. Didn't we do the same
yeah,
thing?
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to work for the school system, and when I worked for the school system, I only worked in elementary because what I always said is at that age, from was that 12 down, there's still a sense of no matter how big and bad that they appear to be, they still want that motherly, fatherly figure. They want somebody to rear them up, and that was one of the biggest joys about working there, is like being able to sew into a child that was missing something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, Marjorie, you know, this is your big topic and my big topic because the power of prayer. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And let's talk about in a family, since this family matter, in a family household. What did that look like for you?
You know, I'll start from my, growing up. I have said this before, but I grew up on an Indian reservation.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't have churches around there. There weren't churches. But my parents were spiritual. So they were also very moral. So we learned from them, and they also were disciplinarians. Not harsh disciplinarians, but the way they needed to be. And so when we came back to this side of the country and started to go to church, I realized how much God meant and how much I needed that in my life. And my children needed it. And so I gave it to them. And so for me, church was very important.
Yes.
And praying was very important.
Yes, the power of prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were praying people.
Yes, yes. Well, definitely in my household, I would just say the power of prayer is just something, and it's always that for me is that go-to. It's the big thing. And y'all heard me say this too. When I had to have my knee surgery, that was one of the things I was so upset about, because I'm still old-fashioned, believe on getting on your knees and praying.
That's right. You just tell us.
Yes. I'm one of those people. Okay. I believe in that. So I'm so happy I can get back on the knee. I'm still leaning more to one side than the other, but hey,
that's okay.
I'm getting it in.
God knows your
Yeah,
heart.
exactly. So, that was a big thing in our house. My mom, as soon as we wake up, that was the first thing we had to do, get on our knees and pray. Last thing at night, we had to get on our knees and pray. And in the midst of that, even at dinner time, saying our grace, like I said, just even saying what we're thankful for, or just when I'm really just upset. Like you say, sometimes you just got to wait a minute, and I have to pray. And then, because I have been in that place where I react.
Yeah.
React, and we all know what reaction would do, So now when I take my time, woosah, pray it out, my results is so much better.
Very true.
Yeah. So what about you?
No,
Hold the mic
I
up.
didn't grow. I'm sorry. I didn't grow up in a overly or big praying house in the sense of prayer being a prominent thing. What stands out to me in my childhood is prayer when it was time to eat, prayer when it was time to rest. Those things were religious. I would say definitely in my adult life, my family has become more of a collective praying family, where
That's
like
nice.
how
Yes.
when we met,
Yes.
we had prayer with each other.
Yes,
It
yes.
definitely is something that we go to more on a regular basis, and I'm learning and understanding how to teach that to my children.
And I think that one of the things that came to mind is that, especially during this time with the pandemic, we've learned to be still. And even though we might have been looking back at some things about ourselves, like I said, about how we look back at our past and say, oh, when I was a child, I did this, so now I'm going to do better. I'm going to teach my children to do better. But when we have this time to reflect, when we have this time of peace that was put upon us, then we have gotten to enjoy the things that are important,
Very true.
like nature, which is God.
Yes, it
You know,
is.
I miss those days when we first were in the pandemic, because we would take walks. We would enjoy the birds
just
and
step
enjoy the trees.
outside.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know,
I don't mean to cut you off, because I definitely was saying I saw my neighborhood totally
Yes, you
different.
did.
You
Yes.
remember I said
You
that?
did say that.
There I walk my dogs every day. Rushing to work, between work, before work, after work. But something about during the pandemic, it just looked so much different.
right.
Yeah.
It sure did. And I'm not I want to know what the people are doing that haven't gone back to work and won't go back to work. I want to know what they're doing because I want to do that too. But the point I'm trying to make is that I applaud them.
Yes.
Because you are you are the most important thing that God made on this planet. And so it's important for us to take care of ourselves,
Yes, it is.
take care of our families, and then take care of our communities.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
that's important.
And on that note, before we go to commercial break quickly, I just want to hear your thoughts on community influence because, you know, we was talking even earlier, it takes a village to raise the family. And the community influence is everything in the Black community when you talk about that family matters. You know, I just remember even coming up that the whole community, we used to like have May Day in our neighborhood.
Wow.
Yes.
You made me remember
Yes,
just saying
yes,
that.
yes. You remember that?
Yes.
And then, you know, and say it really no such thing. You know, we always say Easter Sunday, Easter Monday. And most people like, what did you talking about? It's no Easter Monday. Yeah, because the whole neighborhood, we go to the zoo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we Easter Monday, we always went to the zoo. You know, so these community influences are just important too in a child life too. I'm glad that we had that coming up, that we had these different, you know, community, family, community outreach things that we did. And now it's looking like, you know, we doing more food drives.
Right.
You know, food bank, clothes bank, you know, so these are still the way that the community can have influence and give back. So, yeah, is that what you're saying as well?
Yeah. I mean, again, listening to you guys from the sidelines when we were talking about childhood and the community thing about how the neighborhood will rear you up. You know, my hashtag has been for the last, and I'm going to share that with you. My hashtag for the last probably 3 or 4 years has been village movement.
Oh,
You know,
village.
movement.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to
because
change that.
yeah, no,
Girl,
I'm sharing
you
it.
better.
I'm
No,
sharing it.
I'm taking it. You better go ahead and register that. I like that.
about that. We're talking about that.
Yeah, village movement. You be buying that name back from me, girl.
Let me hurry up and run to the trademark, right?
Yeah, you better hurry.
I gotta
up.
go now.
Okay,
But yeah,
girl,
no,
I
you know,
love
I'm
it.
very much rooted in the village movement. You know, back in the day, you know, there were summer programs was like Vacation
Yes.
Bible School,
Yes,
and, you know,
yes.
things of that nature. But it you know, I miss one of the things of why I've been talking about moving out of the DMV area for a number of years is because I miss that community feel. You know, so just coming here and seeing what you guys are doing here at Vision Media and some other people that I work with outside of here, it feels good. And it's like refreshing to know that it hasn't lost its way. You know, that not just for the kids, but just for us as a community, you know, us starting to grow back again into really caring about each other and giving back.
Yes, real
And
quick.
I was just going
Marjorie.
to say that the
Yes.
community doesn't just exist in your community. And, you know, I've always been a social worker. So I worked in a shelter. That's a community. It's my responsibility. It's your responsibility to do what you can
Yes,
in those situations.
yes, yes.
You know, people who live in communities, you know, there used to be communities that people were afraid to go to. There are communities that people can't get out of.
Yeah.
And it's our responsibility to become a part of that community. We don't have to be afraid.
That's
We
right.
have
yes.
to, you know, go there and help how we can.
Yes, and I believe in that, and I like that. That's why even for me, I always used to do the homeless walk. You know, I have favorites of mine, and of course, diabetes running my family, so I always did that one. Mental health, I always did that walk. You know, so you know, you and then when you do it as a family, sometimes too, you know, it's just a good feeling knowing that you help raise money for, you know, homeless, you help raise money for mental health. You know, it's a good thing that you know that you're giving back to your community. So that is important. And
you
so
know what you learn too
Yeah.
is that the more that we think that we're different,
We are
The
the
more
same.
we do-
exactly, we're
exactly.
really the same.
yes, and that's that's a good note to end on. So yes, as we go into this commercial break, we'll be right back at you. Vision and Purpose Media Productions. Badass us. What? Who are we? We are women. Beautiful, accomplished, and divine. That's right. Badass us. Yeah. Who are we? We are gentlemen. Our brothers, accomplished and determined. Yet, as society see us, we must still change the narrative. Yeah, that's right. Who are we? The black community. Remember us? We are accomplished. We are determined. We are divine. We are of greatness. That's right. The black community. Badass us. Who are we? That's right. Who am I? I am the person committed to building the next community movement. What about you?
Okay, Karen, so we really don't have very much to talk about, but I'm sure we still have some things to add. So, yes,
Militant, the inspirational
inspirational
moment.
moment.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I took it away too fast.
No, go ahead.
But Ephesians 6:1 says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right." And I think that's what we've been talking about tonight. You know, obeying your
Obey.
parent.
I like that
Yes,
word.
and parents can mean God. Parents again can mean your family, your parents, your community. And that's what it's all about, you know, just becoming a part of a community. And as a child, and a child does not always mean a small child. We are children too. You mentioned that earlier. You know, that as we get older, we realize how much we really were not grown when we thought we were. And so just obeying your elders, obeying the Lord, obeying your parents, that is the right thing to do.
Yes, it is. You know, that's just I just want to stay on that word for a minute. That's a big word. It is. It's you know, it's only 4 letters.
Oh,
you know,
yes, that's
but
true.
it's a big word. Obey. You know, because I think sometimes when we look at that word obey, we just think, like almost like submission, you know. But
Negatively.
yes, yeah, negatively,
Yeah.
yes. But obey is such a word that I live by, you know. I always say I want to make sure that I am doing things in decency and in order.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that's how I was raised and taught. You know, and that's part of, you know, when my mom said you give the respect, obey the Lord, and because when you do that, then you do what? You obey others.
Right.
And it's a natural practice.
Yes.
When you're making sure that you obey God and you obey the Lord, then you know how to obey and respect others.
Right.
You know how to do things in decency and in order. And it's very much
Yes.
more rewarding when you do it that way.
I
Because as
agree.
soon as you go against the obey,
It doesn't work out.
it always come back and bite you.
And that also has to do with obeying the laws of the land.
Yes.
You know, when you obey the laws of the
The
land,
land.
even if we don't always agree
Yes.
with them, just like you said, doing things in order is so important. You'll be blessed for that.
Yes.
You know, you might not like what your teacher says for you to do. You might not like the law about jaywalking. But always in those things that you are learning to obey, you're also securing your safety.
Yes, yes. You know, I'm just going. She get ready to make me do a confession. I get ready to do a confession to. I am big about jaywalking, guys. I'm gonna tell you. One time, I was at work and like say the CVS was like cat corner from my job. My job was here and the CVS was there.
Okay.
I'm not going this way and then that way. I came cross that way. So now I'm going back. I went to the CVS. Now I'm coming back. And I'm going back this way. So now I got this young lady that was crossing across the street with me. And why we cut right in between the police car. And he did us like this, like, really? Y'all actually gonna cut across and jaywalk right in front of me? I mean, what else can he do? And I just said, officer, I said, just forget about it. Don't even worry about it. We okay. And I was like, Karen, gosh, you just do it so much.
That's right.
You know, so, and that's that part of, you know, when you don't obey and you've been, you know, it become habit forming.
Yes.
And that's the part I want to talk
Right.
about. So when you learn to obey and respect the laws and obey, you know, you do have better practice. Because guys, that is a bad practice that I am still working on to the day. Because I still jaywalk.
Oh,
To
my
this day,
goodness.
it's so I'm confessing
you-
right now.
but
Why
you
you had
know-
to say that, Marjorie? And you
Just
all
came in my
things
mind.
jaywalk, and I was like, gosh, you in my head today. That is one of the things I'm gonna say. You know, everything else, I am very conscious of being in decency and order. So maybe speaking it out loud today about me
Right.
being a jaywalker. Yes, I am a jaywalker. I need a 12-step program.
A 12-step
So,
program for
yeah.
jaywalkers.
Yeah, for jaywalkers. I am a jaywalker, you know, so maybe saying it out loud today, I am going to be more conscious
Yeah.
of that.
But see, even though that seems like it's not really a silly antidote, because it's true. I mean, there's so many things that are dangerous about jaywalking. You get
Yes,
hit
it
by a car.
really is.
You could have gotten a ticket.
Yes.
Could have gotten arrested. You know, there's a lot of things that come with that.
And he could have definitely gave us a ticket. He better not arrest me.
But the
He's
point,
like,
but the point is that every day we get a chance to check ourselves.
yes.
We every day get a chance to do better.
Yes, and that is true. And Marjorie, and that is something, that's why I say, you know, when you speak things in existence, you know, so I'm speaking that in existence. That is one of the things I definitely have to work on, because I even had a girlfriend, and in this COVID thing, when it first happened, we was going walking. She was walking with me 6 miles, and we got down to the corner and ready to cross over the street to go back up, turn around and go back up. And I'm like, come on. And she just standing. I was like, come on here. You know, because wasn't no cars coming. I'm ready to walk. I don't want to stop. And she stopped into the light change. And so then she was like, Karen, I don't jaywalk. I
Yeah,
said, you know
yeah.
what? I say, forgive me for
Right.
telling you to come
Trying
on.
to
there.
lead you down the wrong path.
Yeah, so because I was like, I wasn't getting it. I was like, why is she not moving? No cars is coming, but
Right,
we
right.
didn't have the lights.
Right. Oh,
So
my
I
goodness.
appreciate that.
That's a funny
and I'm
story.
going to go ahead on and give it to Tammy. Tammy, I appreciate you doing things in decency and order and obeying the law, even though your girlfriend is bad at breaking the law when it comes to jaywalking.
That's funny. That's a good story, though.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, but I love this about obeying. So, you know, because Marjorie, it does, other than that, it really does put you in check. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I like the part that you say, and also keep you safety.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
That's a good word. Obey, safe.
Obey. Safe.
Both 4-letter words.
Yes. I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah.
Obey and
Safe.
care and safe.
Yeah, that's right. So if you
Yes.
ever decide to jaywalk again,
Safe.
obey. Yeah, either
And
one.
be safe.
Yeah, obey and be safe. That's right.
Yes. I tell you, Marjorie. So, but I love how everything, like you just said, is